Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we're coming today with a Rico report. It's technically 12:20 a.m. going into February 5th, but we're going to act like it's February 4th because that's a lot of the time that I've been spending getting these notes together. And I have a fun trivia fact for you at the end of the video for February 4th on my calendar. But today we're going to talk about, you know how Rico reports going. If you don't, we're going to talk about so many different things. We're going to jump from topic to topic, and I promise you by the end of this video, you will have learned something new. I promise you that. And before we dive into everything, because we got to talk about us hiring a new coach, we got to talk about Jayden Daniels being the highest selling jersey in the regular and postseason. We got to talk about the Washington coach chaos of them having a screaming match over Emanuel Forbes and that pick. Apparently some people hated the pick as much as us fans did in the building. Also, Bobby Wagner coming back and Marshon Lattimore staying. We're going to dive into all that and more, but before we do, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Be on the lookout for all of the information that I got for y'all, man. Like I said, as long as I'm not super busy like I've been technically yesterday, February 4th, I was super busy. I mean, I had to take the dogs far away to go get their vaccinations, everything. If I don't have a random day like that, promise y'all are getting 2-3 videos a day. So make sure y'all stay tuned. I really appreciate y'all. Without further ado, instead of wasting even more of y'all time, let's go and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, shouts out to Hannah Lichtenstein, I believe, of the official Commanders.com website, giving us the key dates for the Commanders 2025 offseason. And I'll probably bring this up in other videos throughout the offseason as well, just to kind of remind y'all. But February 6th is the NFL honors. Then, of course, February 9th is the Super Bowl. February 10th is when the waiver system begins for 2025. And then they have all sorts of like exceptions and rules, but we'll dive into that in a later date. February 17th is the HBCU Combine. Shouts out to that. February 18th is the beginning date with a deadline of March 4th when teams can officially designate franchise or transition players. That's going to be interesting. That's going to help us know, okay, this team plans on keeping this guy. This guy's available for free agency for the Washington Commanders. February 22nd, we have the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Shouts out to that as well. February 24th through March 3rd, we have the NFL Scouting Combine. Super duper excited about that one. March 4th, that is the deadline for teams to officially designate franchise or transition players, like I already said. March 4th through April 16th, draft eligible facility visits begin. So that's when we can start getting draft prospects, bringing them to Ashburn for the interviews, workouts, and all of that type of stuff. And of course, I'm gonna have y'all updated on the guys that we're bringing in, all of that. Y'all already know how we do this every year. March 10th through 12th is a negotiation period. During the period beginning at 12 p.m. noon New York time on March 10th and ending at 4 p.m. well, technically 3:59 New York time on March 12th, clubs are permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with the certified agents of players who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their 2024 contracts. So that's basically the legal tampering period. That's when we'll start to hear announcements of this team and this player have come into an agreement by principle and things like that, but it hasn't officially been pinned to paper yet. But those are when we first start to hear this team is signing this player. Then March 12th is actually the start of the new league year. So that's when all of those contracts that were announced March 10th through 12th will officially become official. And then of course there will be more signings after that. Then there's a whole bunch of rule breakdowns for that. But then we move on to March 30th through April 2nd. That's the annual league meeting that will be taking place in Palm Beach, Florida. Then April 16th, deadline for clubs to time, test, visit, and interview or conduct a physical examination with any draft eligible player at its club facility. April 18th is the deadline for restricted free agents to sign offer sheets. April 21st, clubs with returning head coaches may begin their offseason workout programs. April 23rd, deadline for prior club to exercise right of first refusal to restricted free agents who signed offer sheets. April 24th through 26th, the NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. April 29th, deadline for Prior Club to send April 29th tender to his unsigned, unrestricted free agents. That's a whole lot of free agency stuff. We'll get to that later once the time comes. We'll cross that bridge when we get there on that one. May 1st, deadline for clubs to exercise fifth-year options for players selected in the first round of the 2022 draft. That time has come. We don't have a 2022 draft, so that doesn't concern us right now. 2022 first round pick right now. Then May 2nd through the 5th, or May 9th through 12th, clubs may elect to hold one of their 3-day post-draft rookie mini camps, Friday through Sunday or Saturday through Monday, one of the 2 weekends following the draft. May 12th, rookie football development programs begin. May 14th through 18th, we have the NFLPA Rookie Premiere in Los Angeles. And then May 20th and 21st, the Spring League Meeting Coach Accelerator in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And those are pretty much all of the dates that you need to know about up to that point. And then, of course, after that, we'll have OTAs, mandatory mini camps, training camp. But those dates will be announced later because I don't even believe those dates have been finalized yet. And, of course, everybody has their own schedule. We're going to have different dates from other teams. So I'll keep y'all posted on that as soon as we find out. Moving on, the Washington Commanders yesterday, technically, again, as in February 4th, officially hired longtime special teams coordinator Brian Schneider to be our assistant special teams coordinator. This guy has a lot of experience being the special teams coordinator. To be able to get him as an assistant, I feel like it's actually a pretty good hire there. He's taken basically a demotion to come here and work with us. He was most recently with the 49ers, and now he reunites with Dan Quinn after spending several years together with the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, he worked in Seattle with Dan Quinn and Larry Izzo as the special teams coach. Our now special teams coordinator was his assistant back then. Now it's reversed. Larry Izzo is the special teams coordinator here, and then now Brian Schneider is the assistant special teams coach. It's crazy how that flipped right there, but Larry Izzo is doing a great job, to be completely honest, so I love it. And also with San Francisco, he was with them most recently with Adam Peters, so there goes the connection to your head coach and your general manager, so it makes so much sense. And you know, we had this job opening. We've been able to retain everybody else so far in the coaching staff, but John Glenn just left to go to the Raiders. He was our assistant special teams coach. Already updated y'all on that a couple of days ago. He went to go be their linebackers coach because that's what he naturally is, a linebackers coach. We actually made him change from his typical job and title and role of being a linebackers coach to be our assistant special teams coach here for 1 year. Now he's going back to being a linebackers coach, but with the Raiders. So again, we had a whole opening. We went and filled it with Brian Schneider. So from special teams coordinator to assistant special teams coordinator, hey man, I'll take it. That's experience in the room. This is a guy that's been there, done that. So hey man, it's not like a hire that I'm just gonna sit here and blow up as if it's like the best hire in the offseason or anything like that. But I still feel like it's a quality hire. You could have done way worse. Also, moving on, Nika Javala did a whole breakdown of why Jayden Daniels would get better. And just to let you know, very soon after this next topic we're going to talk about, we're going to show some more love to Jayden Daniels. But before then, Nika Javala went on John Comm's podcast and she said, quote, "The thing I love about him, he was so even killed during the season and in the tough moments. And then after that Eagles loss, nobody was more devastated than him. He had watery eyes in this post-game press conference. He looked like the death warmed over the day after. It was very clear that the game meant a lot to him. He takes it seriously. He puts in a ton of work. And I believe him when he says, I don't want to ever feel that feeling again. Like I know players have said that in the past, but I really do believe him when he says it because he's followed up his words of action so far every chance he's gotten, unquote. And I completely agree, man. I mean, if there are any small things that Jayden Daniels still has to work on with this game, best believe he's motivated to go achieve that. There's nobody more motivated than Jayden Daniels this offseason. You could argue out not only just on the Commanders team, but out of the entire NFL because, again, for a guy, to Nika Javala's point, and I talked about this as well, that a guy that you never saw any real emotion from him at any point, and then for him after the game to be that sick to his stomach, we never saw him sad. We never saw him flustered. And for him to not only be sad, but that sad, like eyes watery, I believe that's the first time I've ever heard him cuss all season. Like, that guy was clearly upset. I'm telling you, he's on a path of vengeance next season. So, hey, other teams that aren't Commanders fans, y'all better watch out, because Jayden Daniels is, if anybody next season, is on a super mission. There's not going to be too many people more motivated than Jayden Daniels next year, and I'm pretty sure other free agents are looking at that and like, man, I gotta go join that team. That boy was already great last year. Imagine what he's going to do this next year. If not only I go there with my talent to help him at receiver, edge rusher, offensive line, or whatever, but then also how motivated he is after a loss. Like, come on, man. Now, before we come back to Jayden Daniels, we do got to talk about this supposed screaming match that the Commanders had in their coaching staff and front office over the Emanuel Forbes pick, which they should have had. But according to JP Finley, who was on the B. Mitch and Finley show, his own show with B. Mitch over there, and he reported that there was a screaming match on draft day when the Commanders selected Emanuel Forbes over cornerback Christian Gonzalez. Now, we were all screaming about that. We were all disappointed. I assumed Christian Gonzalez was the pick. I was shocked when Emanuel Forbes what ended up being the pick. You know me, I'm Mr. Glass Half Full, Mr. Optimistic, so I'm always going to try to see, like, maybe this is why they did that and things like that. But we all clearly wanted Christian Gonzalez. The people in that Commanders room are probably the only people that felt like Emanuel Forbes made more sense than Christian Gonzalez, and apparently it wasn't even all of them. It was only a select few, like Rivera. We saw Eric Stokes, we saw Martin Mayhew. Those three guys, the guys at the top of the list of as far as control and decision making goes for the Commanders at that time, they wanted Emanuel Forbes. I could see a scenario where everybody else in that building probably wanted Christian Gonzalez, because we all did as fans. The fans could have drafted for Rivera the entire 4 seasons he was here, and we would have ended up with better players than what we did with him. They just kept overthinking things. I don't even want to get into that right now, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't really 100% believe this though, because one, they all seem to love the picks in the documentary. Now, granted, they only showed the guys that they wanted to show. I mean, I feel like even if some guys disagree, which I'm pretty sure they did, they would have ended up editing it out. So just who knows? But I still feel like it was too calm in the parts that we did see when they decided to draft them and things like that. So I don't know, but I could be tripping. Also, number two, the main reason I don't necessarily believe this, that like this was actually like a real thing, but who knows? Maybe it was. But as many leaks as was coming out of that team before Adam Peters took over, I feel like we would have been heard about this way sooner, especially when Emanuel Forbes wasn't playing well, got benched, all of that type of stuff his rookie season, and then even the following season after that with us, like not playing well before we ended up cutting him. He went to the Rams and all of that. I feel like this would have been leaked way sooner than it just did. I mean, under Ron Rivera and those guys couldn't stop a leak to save their lives. You think this one, if this was true, wouldn't have come out a lot sooner? But I could be wrong, though. I'm just doubting it. But I trust JP Finley with a lot of his reporting. But I don't know, maybe he's over-exaggerating a little bit, because I don't doubt people disagreeing with the pick at all. But I just don't believe that it was like a shouting match. I don't know. Who knows? Again, I could be tripping. Those are just my thoughts on it. Also, before we get on back to Jayden Daniels, I feel like we need to talk about the fact that Bobby Wagner looks like he's coming back. Because if you saw that Josh Harris press conference where he announced that the Commander's name is not going anywhere, I hope you noticed that not only Dan Quinn and Doug Williams were there, but Bobby Wagner was also there. I want to remind you, he is an unrestricted free agent right now. He's technically like not on the Commanders roster going into free agency. He is technically not on any team, not even ours. Now, he's already expressed that he wants to come back, and I feel like Josh Harris having him there at that major press conference that he had to make all of those big announcements about the team name is not going anywhere. You're getting a new jersey. This is the new standard. We plan on doing whatever it takes to become better in the offseason, which sounds like we may dipple and dabble in some trades, some top free agency signings. I don't think they're going to be very passive here. I think we may get aggressive. He let us know all of those headlining breaking news things while making sure that Bobby Wagner was there and visible. Bobby Wagner just wasn't in the back somewhere behind the cameras to where you couldn't see him. You saw Bobby Wagner clearly in the whole situation. They made sure like he was visible. I'm pretty sure they would have hit him even if he wanted to be there, but they didn't want him to be seen. He wouldn't have been seen. And I feel like that, like of course, There hasn't been an announcement that Bobby Wagner will return, but Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, they're going to make something happen. I just feel like him being there is pretty monumental. Now, also, let's talk about Marshon Lattimore. I know some people have been talking about him potentially. Some people want to trade him away to try to recoup some of the draft picks we got rid of to get him. Some people are just saying straight up cut him. Well, just to let you know, Commanders general manager Adam Peters thinks that cornerback Marshon Lattimore will benefit from having an entire offseason with the Commanders after having difficulty integrating with the team due to injury. He said via Pro Football Talk, quote, "He came into a tough situation. He was injured when he got here. Anytime you come to a new team and you're injured, it's really hard to integrate. Plus, you're coming in at the end of the season, so at the time you're rehabbing, you're learning a new defense, trying to meet new teammates. It was a tough situation for him to come in. What was cool was we saw him get better. We saw him get more acclimated, not only to the defense, but to his teammates. Really excited for him to have an offseason with us and really learn the defense from the ground up and really have that full runway of training camp and leading into the offseason, leading into the regular season, and looking forward to that," unquote. So there you go. General manager Adam Peters has told you Marshon Lattimore is here to stay, and he explained why he feels like he underperformed compared to what we expected once we traded for him. And I feel like they're excuses, but they're good excuses. But at the same time, though, in 5 games with Washington, Marshon Lattimore has totaled 6 penalties for a loss of 96 yards, which has helped set up 20 points for opponents. Not very good, but at the same time, we've only lost 1 game with Marshon Lattimore in the lineup. So you have those 2 opposing stats right there. But I completely agree with Adam Peters, man. He just got here. Hamstring was bothering him. It was hard. I mean, he didn't even know exactly where he belonged. I'm pretty sure Joe Wood Jr. didn't exactly know how to utilize him to the best of his abilities. I mean, you saw the second game we played the Eagles where Marshon Lattimore followed A.J. Brown no matter where he went the entire game. Then in the NFC Championship, they decided to let Marshon Lattimore stay on one side of the field and Mike Sanford still stay on one side of the field. So Marshon Lattimore got to cover more receivers in that setup. So they're just trying things. Throughout the regular season, even the postseason, they were just like, let's see if this works. So it's not even just Marshon Lattimore getting acclimated to the defense. It's Joe Wood Jr., our defensive coordinator, and the defense getting acclimated to how do we utilize Marshon Lattimore and get the most out of him possible. How do we make him as efficient as possible? Again, we were just trying things. That Eagles NFC Championship game was a completely different defense that we deployed, at least coverage-wise, than the second time we played them after Marshon Lattimore was traded to us, just to let you know. Now, moving on, also, before we get to Jayden Daniels, again, this is the last thing before Jayden Daniels, though, but it's real quick. Pro Football Focus put out a list of early breakout candidates for each team, all 32 teams, but for the NFC East, they said Marshawn Kneeland for the Dallas Cowboys, Tyler Newman for the Giants, Moro Ajomo for the Eagles, and then for us, they had tight end Ben Sinnott. And that would be beautiful, man. If Ben Sinnott can explode onto the scene, that would be a huge upgrade for us in the offseason. I mean, I'm looking at tight end free agency a little bit. Some people are saying trade for Kyle Pitts, but I'm definitely looking at tight end in the draft because, first of all, this is one of the deepest draft classes ever at tight end. Brett Coleman said at least since 2010. So you got to at least get one of those guys, right? Like, you got to take advantage of that and get a hold of one of these guys in a really talented tight end class. But I mean, even beyond that, man, if Ben Sinnott can ball out and take that next step to be more George Kittle-ish than Kyle Juszczyk-ish, how we were using him this year. He was more Kyle Juszczyk fullback. But Adam Peters, when we first drafted him, said he was going to be a blend of Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle. If we can get him on more on the George Kittle side, that would be huge. Because even if you re-sign Zach Ertz, you need to go ahead and start getting that guy for the future. And also, Zach Ertz needs a running mate, man. Yeah, I think if we can run more 12 personnel and Ben Sinnott is contributing that much in the passing game, that would be big time for us, man. That would be insane. Our offense will look completely different, honestly. We would have a slightly less need for a receiver because of that. I still feel like we need to go out and do what we got to do on receiver free agency and the draft. Maybe even if you're talking trading for Garrett Wilson. But if you can promise me today Ben Sinnott next season is going to ball out like Pro Bowl level, Sam Laporta level, that changes everything, man. So I hope Pro Football Focus is right. I know they're just doing that article just to kind of, have a little bit of fun, but that would be amazing hypothetically. Now, of course, we can't do a Rico report, especially at this point, without some Jayden Daniels love. Let's talk about it. First of all, Jayden Daniels had the highest selling jersey not only in just the NFL, but of all sports during the playoffs and the regular season. Come on, dog. That's mic drop. There's nothing else to say. We don't even have to dive into everything and what he did. Mic drop. Moving on. Shouts out to FanDuel. They ranked their top 10 rookie quarterback seasons of all time. They had Jayden Daniels #1 with Russell Wilson 2012 #2 when RG3 got hurt. We lost to them. We were up 14-0. RG3 got hurt. We ended up losing. Robert Griffin, we more than likely, if Robert Griffin doesn't get hurt, if he never sustained an injury, we beat the Seahawks, and who knows how far we go. But that's whatever. Then #3, Justin Herbert from 2020. Robert Griffin III is 4 in 2012. So we have 2 of the top 4 in NFL history, according to them, because we're going all the way back to Dan Marino in 1983 at #9. But CJ Stroud 2023 at 5. Ben Roethlisberger 2004 at 6. Cam Newton 2011 at 7. I feel like Cam Newton should be higher than that, but it is what it is, because Ben Roethlisberger had a great team around him. Cam Newton did not. Either way, Dak Prescott 2016, Dan Marino 1983 at 9, and then Caleb Williams at 10 2024. They feel like Caleb Williams had a top 10 rookie season, but he was just so overshadowed by Jayden Daniels. Doesn't matter. Also, just to let you know, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels had the most rushing yards, 891, in a season without losing a fumble by any quarterback in NFL history. I feel like that's really remarkable. I feel like if you go back and think about it, just think about it. Jayden Daniels went that entire season without losing a fumble. Like, if you sit back and think about it, now I know a lot of y'all are like, wow, I didn't even think about that, because that's how I felt when I saw that stat. I was like, wow, he actually didn't. Wow. Russell Wilson is second with 849. Jayden Daniels again has 891 rushing yards without a fumble by a quarterback. We're not talking about our rookies. We're talking about all quarterbacks in NFL history. Come on, man. And we just talked about how motivated he is. Come on, bro. Also, I mean, Jayden Daniels 20 games without a fumble too. We're not even just talking about like a regular season. We're talking about with 3 playoff games as well. 20 games, no fumble. Let's keep it pushing, man. Also, back on January 23rd, Madden went ahead and upgraded Jayden Daniels' stats a little bit, but they did not do him justice. They only sent them up 1 more point overall to an 85. Come on, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. He had a 91 throw accuracy short, 89 throw accuracy medium, and an 85 throw under pressure. All of those only went up 1 point to those numbers. Disrespectful, Madden. He should be a 90-something overall easily. Stop. He should be a top 5, top 4 overall quarterback in Madden right now, but it is what it is. Also, back on January 26th, Howie Long said that there are only 5 teams right now that wouldn't trade for Jayden Daniels out of the entire NFL. Shouts out to Howie Long for the love. He said Ravens with Lamar Jackson, Bills with Josh Allen, Bengals Joe Burrow, Chiefs with Pat Mahomes, and he said Chargers with Justin Herbert. But I would argue, if I'm a Chargers fan, I could trade for Jayden Daniels. Give me that. So I just thought that was interesting. I would throw that out there as well. I mean, I'm even looking at all of those other guys, and of course, like Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. It's hard to say, but I mean, with Jayden Daniels being the youngest out of all of them, and then him having the best rookie season out of all of them, out of all time, and in rookie quarterback history, I don't know. You know, if he gets any better, I don't know, man. I'm looking like I wouldn't trade Jayden Daniels for anybody, but it is what it is. Let me know how y'all feel about that in the comment section. Also, shouts out to Disco, because I completely agree. I hate the fact that people, especially other teams' fan bases, keep saying this. They keep talking about how other teams will study Jayden Daniels in the offseason. Well, how about Jayden Daniels will study other teams in the offseason as well? It's not like other teams are the only ones that have access to film, and Jayden Daniels is not allowed to watch opposing defenses and see what they were doing to him as well. So a lot of people are thinking that Jayden Daniels is going to have this slump of a sophomore slump like CJ Stroud had. He's not. I promise you right now. You can book it today. Also, again, Jayden Daniels, I mean, he even said it after the loss. I'm taking this loss pretty hard, and I've never seen him look that sad, that flustered, that upset all season. I'm telling you right now, man. And shouts out to Marshall, because he brings up a good point, that Jayden Daniels wants this real bad. Philly will be his Detroit Pistons to his story, like how Michael Jordan had the Detroit Pistons that motivated him to take it to the next level. I believe, and I agree with Marshall right here, that Philadelphia Eagles will be Jayden Daniels' Detroit Pistons. He's going to beat them. He's going to go on to win championships through them, and then they're going to be forgotten for history. I'm telling you right now. Book it. Now moving on, also random news, and this came out like a while ago. I was just saving this for like a good time to bring it up, and you know, a Rico report, as random as it is, I feel like this is a good time, so why not? Back on January 21st, Devontae Adams went on the Kay Adams show, and she asked him, would you be willing to play with Terry McLaurin? He gave his compliments, but he said at the end of it, quote, I would have to give up my number 17, and I don't know if I could do that, unquote. So basically, it sounds like he doesn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you can give all of those compliments. He was trying to keep it political, keep it PG, and all of that type of stuff. Give Terry McLaurin compliments, but I don't think he wants to come here, period. Now, of course, the Commanders look like the way better team, but I'm pretty sure he just knows there's no realistic scenario. I mean, if you're not willing to change numbers to go to a greater team, you just don't want to go to that greater team at all. Like, a number is not that serious, and when in doubt, you can maybe even ask Terry to switch if he doesn't want to come here. And at the end of the day, remember, he's the same guy that talked about how much he hated Washington fans and all of that. So no thank you, man. We good over here, man. Not while we're up. While we were down, you want to talk trash. Not while we up, you gonna pull up. No. I feel similar with Brandon Sheriff. You know what I'm saying? He abandoned ship, took less money to go to the Jaguars instead of staying with us. And now he's looking at the Jaguar situation like this sucks. Nah. You didn't want to be with us while we were down. Don't be with us while we're up, man. And then on top of that, again, you also have to remember you have to trade for Davante Adams. Because his contract goes all the way through 2026. He's not a free agent until 2027. So you have to trade for him. You got to pay him all of that money. He's a $38 million per year cap hit. No thanks at all, right? Please no Davante Adams right now. Nah. And then also, really random, if you look on the screen right now, this is every team's last award winner. Shouts out to the Cardinals, the Texans, the Saints, the Jets, and the Eagles. Shouts out, I'm sorry, little Eagles, and the Buccaneers as well for never having an NFL MVP award winner. But I mean, we can't talk too crazy because the last time we had one was Joe Theismann at the bottom right, 1983. But I mean, there's a lot of people out here in the 1980s. Dan Marino, Lawrence Taylor, you know what I'm saying? Terry Bradshaw was all the way back in 1978, you know what I'm saying? So we're not the only team sitting out here looking ugly. Walter Payton, 1977. The boy Boomer over there, 1988. Brian Sipe over there in 1980, you know what I'm saying? So we're somewhere like in the middle of the pack, but then you have a lot of teams who have at least had one since the 2000s. Oh, Cowboys, how could I forget you? 1993, I wasn't even born yet. Emmitt Smith over there. So we don't have a lot of room to talk, but we can talk more than a lot of these other teams. Also, really random, but I thought this was interesting as well. It looks like we probably killed that Detroit Lions dynasty that they had going. Now, granted, they still have a lot of good players. They still have Dan Campbell. And I like their GM situation and their front office and all of that. But boy, losing Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Terrell Williams, Steve Hyden, our boy Antoine Randall, JT Barrett. I didn't even realize JT Barrett was a part of their organization. And Tanner Engstrand. And remember, they just lost Lance Newmark to us the year before as a top executive, man. I don't know. It's going to be hard to recover from that, man. It really is. I think the Detroit Lions will still be really good, but I'm not sure they make it to the NFC Championship. Just like how we ended the Bears situation with all that hype they had with Caleb Williams and this rookie season. Looks like we may have ended the Detroit Lions short little dynasty that they had going real quick. I don't think they're just gonna go back to the NFL dungeons of like just completely inept and then like just going to 4-13 and things like that. But I don't think they reached the NFC Championship again. And then before we get up out of here, in the spirit of the Super Bowl, to kind of put some sort of a positive spin on what we have to watch, because I hate the Chiefs just as much as anybody else, and I hate having to root for a three-peat, but I hate the Eagles even more. So I can't stand them. Even with all of those Georgia Bulldogs on that team, and I'm the biggest Georgia Bulldog fan you'll ever meet, I can't root for them. I need the Chiefs to win. So it's just an ugly Super Bowl. Outside of really Kendrick Lamar, I really hate this Super Bowl. I wish both teams could somehow lose. But either way, to put a positive spin on it, if you look on the screen right now, shouts out to the 33rd team for letting us know, because I didn't even realize this. The most rushing yards in a single Super Bowl game, we have the number 1 and number 3 with Timmy Smith with 204 and John Riggins with 166. We have 2 of the top 3 Super Bowl performances by running back yardage wise. Hey man, shouts out to us. You know what I'm saying? So in the spirit of the Super Bowl, make sure you remember that hopefully Saquon doesn't go up there and replace one of our guys going up to number 3 or even number 1 by having a great game. Chiefs, I'm gonna need you to shut him down and win that game, so we don't have to see Saquon as part of this list. Now I'm pretty sure he's gonna shoot with Michael Pittman down there at 124 or 10th. I just have a strong feeling that he's gonna at least be able to get into the top 10, but don't let Saquon get into the top 3, man. Don't let the Eagles do that, man. Please no. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still on that like button, still on the subscription button, still on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Let me know if you want more Rico reports like this. I know they're random. I know they're all over the place, but I do feel like a lot of people do prefer the Rico reports, you know, just to take a break from the typical breaking news this, free agency this, draft this, just to kind of give y'all all of the stuff that kind of falls in between the cracks of just random stats, random updates, random reports and things like that. Let me know if you do enjoy these Rico reports and if you feel like I should do these more often, maybe even to the point that I try to do them like once a week. Let me know how y'all feel about that. And of course, as promised, if you, first of all, you made it to the end of this video, I salute you. If you made it this far and you're still watching me and hearing me talk, really appreciate you. And as a reward, here's your fun fact for the day. On this date in 2010, but again, we're talking about February 4th, on this date in 2010, Pro Football Hall of Fame halfback Bill Dudley died at 88 in Lynchburg, Virginia. Although he got his nickname Bullet Bill for his pinpoint throwing, Dudley attempted only one pass while making the Pro Bowl twice in his 3 seasons in Washington in 1950 to 1951 and 1953. That is a ridiculous fact right there, man. That is crazy, man. Shouts out to Bill Dudley, Bullet Bill over there, man. I love this calendar with the daily facts because I'm learning a lot of this stuff too. I did not know this before I just read this out loud to you. So again, I'm trying to make sure that every day I do a video, I give y'all at least a trivia question or a fun fact. So now we're on to February 5th. So by the time I do another video tomorrow, technically / later today, because it's 12:55 a.m. right now, I promise y'all I'm gonna hit y'all with another fun fact / trivia question. So make sure you pull up every day for those. And yeah, man, make sure you definitely leave a like on the way out. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video, especially Jayden Daniels, or even like the controversial topics like how do you feel about Bobby Wagner returning? How do you feel about Marshon Lattimore staying for another year or two? Let me know how you feel about the Washington Commanders hiring Brian Schneider. Let me know how you feel about any of the key off-season dates, anything we talked about today, or Devontae Adams talking about Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders. Let me know how you feel about all of that. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Leave a like on the way out. I'm out.